Welcome to round 3 of my Ferrari Road to Glory. My last episode, round 2, link in the top right, was a couple of days ago, and what has possibly happened in that time frame that has some sort of correlation with this series? Oh wait, Hamilton's moving to Ferrari in 2025, and it's almost like he saw my video, my first episode, and felt inspired to switch teams. What a coincidence. Anyway, here we are for another episode, the Australian Grand Prix, guys. Round 3, we are hot off the back of Jeddah. Round 2, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We also have confirmation of the aerodynamic upgrade arriving onto the car, and we're going to add more to it by doing not just one, but 2 chassis floor upgrades for the next race in Australia. So hopefully they both arrive, and we can have a much better package for round 3, even better than what we've had so far in the first 2 races. Guys, if you're going to enjoy today's episode, leave a like and subscribe. Let's try and smash over 1,000 likes as we jump into a chassis department event. Now, this is a follow-on from the last episode where we had to trust the department in terms of what to do, and that has increased morale by 10%. We then got confirmation of the beam wing arriving along with the 2 chassis upgrades on the floor. So we essentially have about 4 upgrades on the car this weekend, which is absolutely insane, and that is going to drastically improve our package. But that is not all. As you can see, based off the feedback from the last episode, we are going to increase the AI's overall resource point rate, cash flow, and also their acclaim. So hopefully things get basically even harder for me, so this crew mode essentially is as hard as possible. So with that done, it's time for Australia, Albert Park, round 3. Let's get into it. The forecast is dry, no rain expected. We have 4 upgrades on the car, 2 for aero, 2 for chassis, but Red Bull have equally improved, and Mercedes have taken the biggest jump of anyone heading into this race along with Haas. So other teams are not standing still, and everyone pushing on, trying to bring upgrades and have a better package for this season. So yeah, it's going to be a fierce race development all the way through the season, but either way we jump into Friday practice, getting the car up to speed. And some of you guys also mentioned to change my helmet, so we'll get onto that very soon, and hopefully we'll have it for the next few rounds, updated with Ferrari sponsors, and maybe a lick of red here and there as you guys want to see a bit of red on the helmet as well. So practice done, we had a very similar fuel burn to Jeddah, which was 51 on the nose, so very similar in terms of fuel level. Tyre wear though is a bit better. Pace wise, top 11, P11, not too bad. Leclerc setting the pace out front, good signal in terms of the upgrades working well. We also picked up a decent haul of R&D points in that session, bringing our total over 2,000 points, which is really productive for us. We also got a ton of discounts on the engine, on the aero, which is going to go a long way, even on the chassis for the tyre wear. So a lot of productive upgrades and areas we can improve and make our car even better as we now head into qualifying. So let's get to it. So far, we've had 2 qualifying sessions in this short qualifying format. Round 1 Bahrain, round 2 in Jeddah, and we are 2 for 2 for pole position. So we are very strong in qualifying, and we did that by some margin. However, a bit like in Bahrain, we have another car issue. This one though is a little bit longer, to the point where it's just going to disrupt my rhythm a little bit, and we're not quite going to get 3 runs in. So we're only going to get 2 runs in this qualifying session. So we have to make both of them count. This is the first one as we start off the lap looking to try and have a good banker to kind of set a decent baseline. We absolutely send it through turn 1, very close on the track limits. As we now head down to turn 3, you want to brake at the 100, try and get the apex and then be smooth on the power. Use lots of inside curb through 4, you can get away with it because it will gain you a lot of time, and then flat out through 5 to close out sector 1. Into the, of course, recently improved turn 6, much quicker nowadays. Clip the inside curb, use all the runoff, and carry the speed along the back straight. Wait for the DRS to open and take a breather before you commit into the big, fast left-right chicane, I believe it's 7 and 8, or technically 11, I believe it's 11 and 12 if you include all these little silly corners on the back straight. Here we go, into the left, 6th gear. Didn't quite get all of the apex there, so we take a bit of a cut through the right, bottom out, and pick up some understeer. So a little bit scruffy through there, but not terrible. On the anchors at the 50-meter board, into this right-hander, very sharp apex, as we then get back on the power, making our way into the final few bends, looking to close out the lap as Lando Norris sets the benchmark. Penultimate corner, keeping it tidy, back end, in tight through here, get the power down as soon as possible, and now running up to the line. What is the banker going to be? A 1 minute 16.3, and that is third place, 2/10 off Lando Norris, who set a 16.1 in first place. Now, one thing I noticed in practice and also in qualifying, I lowered the wing compared to practice, and it still wasn't low enough as we was very slow in the middle sector, so a bit of a concern. In the meantime, I spotted Charles Leclerc setting a new benchmark, a 1:15.792, which is 6/10 quicker than me and 2/10 quicker than anything else we've seen so far this weekend. So yeah, very rapid pace from my teammate, and that also confirms the upgrades are working well. Heading on to our final attempt though, with a minute to go, down to turn number 1, we invalidate. Oh dear, that's a big one. We had a slight correction on oversteer, which just put us out of the yellow line, and that is going to be our qualifying over. Reduced to 2 runs due to car issues, and then invalidating on our final one, it means session over. Not just that, Max Verstappen pulled out an absolute stonker to beat Charles Leclerc's time. Those two are in a different postcode, literally so damn quick. Then it's about for third, and we could have realistically got third quite easily. Pierre Gasly has a 5-place grid drop, but what a lap time from Verstappen and also Charles Leclerc. Those two looking very quick, and we'll see what happens. Either way, Red Bull looking to bounce back. Verstappen's had a very poor first 2 races, so they kind of need to get a result here this weekend. Leclerc, of course, won the last race in Jeddah, looking pretty decent, so if you can go back to back, that would be awesome. Either way, for us, the target has to be a podium. So guys, qualifying done, let's get into the race, and let's see what happens in the main event.
Well, once upon a time, this used to be the season opener before it fell victim to a pandemic reshuffling. But now Albert Park is back at the heart of the F1 calendar, so welcome to sun-kissed Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 14 corners and 3.28 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles per hour. Close proximity of the barriers make accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Hamilton, Russell, Martinez, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Ocon, Tsunoda, Gasly, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Joe, Sargent, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And a warm welcome, of course, to my co-commentator here today, it's Natalie Pinkham. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen?
What a quality performance. The big question, though, is how does that translate on race day? Can they hold on to that lead? And of course, it's looking very close here today. A lot is going to be riding on those first few corners. And then the question becomes, who can manage their tyres so they're in a good position to push hard towards the end?
Right then, here we go. Race time. Round 3, Australia. Qualifying was a bit messy, a little bit scrappy, so we're going to have to try and make up for it in the race. P6, not terrible considering we only done 1 time lap in qualifying. Charles Leclerc starts from 2nd place alongside Max Verstappen, and the target for me really is a podium. Possibly the win, that can still happen, but the podium would be the minimum requirement for this race. Strategy wise, we're looking probably for the 1 stop. The 2 stop is just simply slower, it's not fast enough, so it's going to be another 1, a medium to hard tyre strap. Fuel, I've got about 0.6 extra saved up, so that should also be fine. But the key thing here really in this race is the setup. I feel like I may have gone in a bit of a wrong direction, so I don't know how that's going to pay off in the race. I feel like I could be down on straight line speed, but we could be fast in sectors 1 and 3. So bit of a tricky trade-off. Either way, we're going to get to it, send it, see what happens. Prediction down below, guys, on my finishing position. Like, subscribe, and let's get to work. Here we go. We've got a mixture of compounds, so this should be interesting. Lights out, and away we go. Leclerc with a bad start. We have a pretty bad reaction time ourselves. Going to try and go down the inside of Hamilton to turn 1 and just run him out of road there and squeeze him out. So P4, Leclerc undoing all of his good qualifying work. Verstappen leads the way still. Norris P2, I think. Both Max and Lando are on mediums, so it's the Mercedes boys and Fernando Alonso a little bit further back who have opted for softs on this race start. Realistically, I don't think I can keep Hamilton at bay here. Like I mentioned, I think we might be down on straight line speed. I'm going to try and use battery and fight in this initial phase, but you can see it's not going to be easy. We are down on straight line speed, so we're going to have to make the wings count in sector 3 and sector 1. Russell all over the back of Norris here. Hamilton now goes to my outside. We're just going to out-brake him and take the inside line. You can see both Mercs and softs are flying out the gate. Just got to try and stay in DRS somehow. Verstappen trying to make a break for it out front. Lap 1 though, in the books. Verstappen setting the pace. Russell still pressuring Norris here for second. Okay, we've got a distant tow on Russell and Norris here, so we're going to be okay. George thinking about the move, but Norris holding on. I think actually Leclerc might challenge Hamilton here, so already now that medium's starting to work, so now we're finding our pace, and the soft no longer is as strong as, you know, it was a lap ago. Norris, Russell side by side here. We're just going to have to be mindful. Around the outside of Norris. Lovely move, opportunistic, swinging it the long way round. Let's see what sort of pace George has, and maybe he can drag us towards Verstappen, who's actually on softs, to be fair, so to my surprise.
Okay, DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone. I
thought Max started on mediums, but I was wrong, so that explains why he's got a pretty reasonable gap. So Red Bull taking no chances. They won that win here today, so they're going aggressive with Verstappen to try and make that happen. Personal best inside Russell's DRS. That's helping us out here. Just trying to manage fuel and get some battery recharge in these next few laps before the soft car starts to wear off, and then it becomes our time to push. I just want to know if they're on a 1 or a 2 stop. That's the key thing here. So the first time we're getting pretty close now to George. We'll just wait a little bit and try to charge a bit before we pull the trigger. Verstappen isn't getting away, so we can afford to just let everything save and charge up before we start pushing. Oh, Leclerc up to 5th, overtaking, or trying to overtake Hamilton. I think we're going to go for it on Russell now. Lando is knocking on the door, so we may have to consider a move. I think we'll wait for the back straight, unless we get a good run through turn 1, which I have to kind of go for it. Okay, we can hang back for now. Just wait another couple of corners. So we're going to try and set him up. I've made a tweak to the brake bias. I feel like my rears are just getting a bit loose. Nice run there. Bit of a drift through the chicane, but we're going to go through on George. And we managed to outbrake him. A little bit deep, but we keep it under control. So now let's see if we can set a pace, although my back end is slipping and sliding all over the place right now. Might have been a bit of a bad pass, to be fair. Let's see. Tyres are under control temperature wise, so we'll try and push. It's really tough to break DRS around here. Really tough. Russell's still hanging in there. I've used up all my battery, so we may have to fall back in line if we don't shake him off. Russell's going to go run here. I've had a pretty poor chicane, and Norris is probably going to follow. We're kind of gridlocked at this stage of the race. Not really much that we can do. I used my battery to try and break away. Didn't break DRS, so now we're kind of stuck. Verstappen's not going anywhere, but I did get the gap down to 2.1 at one point. But it's just difficult, so we're going to just fall back in line and wait until, you know, maybe the pit stop phase. Battery recharge will be key. Hopefully Leclerc can get past Norris. I think Russell, Hamilton.
Okay, be careful. We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip anytime now.
I think Russell, Hamilton and Verstappen are going to try and stretch for a long one stop, soft to hard. So we're going to have to basically stick with them here. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, well, well. Hello, hello, mechanical failures. And we're gonna screw Leclerc here, big time, doing this. Oh mate, that's really scruffy. Well then, that's a surprise.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, they are very much at one with the car, which is a cliche, but it's true. It's not an easy process, and that work is very much paying off.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team.
So, our race comes to a premature end. Interesting, really interesting. Luckily, it's early in the season. So, yeah, but that's a tricky one. That's a bitter pill to swallow. And a reminder that durability is going to be key. Still, it's a long season, 23 rounds. We're 3 rounds in, 20 to go. A lot can happen, a lot will happen. However, Verstappen bounces back. First win of the season for Max. He was on a mission today. Won by 2.9 seconds. Russell got the fastest lap of the race, so fair play, George. Leclerc does lock up a podium, so P3 and another top 3 finish for him. So this is going to bring the championship really close together. Hamilton P4, Perez only P5, Alonso, Piastri, Stroll, Gasly, Ocon round out the top 10. So retirements for this race is going to be Lando and myself. So Lando also dropped out of the race. So standings, as you can see, we still lead the way, but pretty much our hard work from the first 2 races has been cut. 4 points ahead of Leclerc, 4 points ahead of Hamilton, 8 ahead of Perez, and Verstappen with that win up to 6th and 13 points adrift. So it's all very close. After 3 rounds in the Constructors, we have the lead, 9 points ahead of Mercedes and 17 ahead of Red Bull. Those are going to be our rivals this year. I think McLaren are going to be a bit of an outsider. Obviously, Lando, DNFing doesn't help, but yeah. There's a lot, guys, so we'll see what happens in the next one. It's going to be interesting. Either way, we're going to move back to the laptop and do some updates, also to extend the video so you guys don't know I've retired, as I like to do. Now, there's some good news. We do get a pretty healthy batch of R&D points following on from that mechanical failure, but let's see exactly what part was the culprit. ICE. Okay, so I was concerned it was quite worn, wearing quickly, but it's one of those, we have 4 available, so it's not a massive issue, but definitely a setback. Either way, we'll switch to a newer spec ICE. We'll keep the rest of the components on the car for now, for a couple more races anyway, to try and stretch the life out of those and try to limit possible reliability issues. Now, we have quite a large break until the next race in Baku. From the 3rd of April to the 27th, a lot of R&D points are going to be arriving. So we'll start off with a marketing department event and then we'll do upgrades. Now we're going to have to pick our rival, so choose wisely. I think, considering the news, what's happened and what's going on, I think it's fitting we go for Lewis, right? So let's talk upgrades. Gearbox is going to unlock a bunch of others, so we're going to get that on the car straight away. I want to do the IC upgrade ASAP to just improve reliability a little bit. In the meantime, still in the head, super cheap, super efficient upgrade, so we'll get that on as well, and that will unlock a few more further down, which we don't have currently at our disposal. Elsewhere, we've got tire wear upgrade. We'll go for that. That's got a pretty hefty discount, so we'll take it. And then I think in terms of discounted upgrades, that's going to be it. We could go for the Halo. Let's go for the Halo. Let's go for it. So that pretty much spends our R&D points pool. So let's see if all of these arrive. So good news, tyre analytics have arrived, so we have improved tyre wear. And then also we have the cylinder head for the engine, and we also have the gearbox. So we can now go ahead and purchase the ICE upgrade, which we can't afford right now, but we'll do in like a day or two and basically get it on hopefully before the next race in Baku. Literally, like clockwork, 2 days later we now have enough points, so we're going to get that on. It's going to arrive after Baku. Do I feel like rushing this? Not really. We'll play it safe. There we go. So with that done, next race is Baku. One last thing to confirm is the arrival of the Halo upgrade. So everything is on, which is great. So we are fully up to date on upgrades. 700 points to spend. I want to wait and see if the ICE arrives with no failures, and then we'll do some more upgrades after that. But either way, good progress, good developments, and you can see we're going to hopefully close that gap to Red Bull quite a lot over the next race weekend, depending also what they do in terms of upgrades. But yeah, either way, there you go guys. Like, subscribe. A short race, unfortunately, these things happen. It's been a while since we've had a reliability issue, but like, subscribe, as always, a big shout out to the members for supporting the channel and the content. As always, check out the 2 videos on screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and it's goodbye from me. Adios.